And good morning. A happy December 21st, the Saturday before Christmas to you. Welcome to the Ross Kitchen, where I'm hosting our first virtual volunteer training for the 2020 campaign. I'm trying a couple of new things out, so if we have a few technical hiccups, I hope you'll bear with me. But hopefully this is a very informative session for you, and hopefully it's something that will kind of take the mystery and the nerves out of getting involved and getting out and getting people excited about the 2020 race. I hope you've all poured yourself a cup of coffee. I've got my seasonal reindeer mug here, so I'm all set to go. Um, just so that you know, I am going to be archiving this video and making it available so that if you missed out the first time, or if you know somebody who might be interested, it's going to be out there, and we'll probably update it a couple of times as we go. So know that these resources are here, and as we get into campaign season, I'll probably be trying some other ones as well. So thank you again for taking time out of your morning to join me. Let's go ahead and start talking about what goes into volunteering for the campaign, what we're going to need from folks, and some easy ways that you can make a difference in your community and in your district. So let's see. Here we go. So the thing is that I apologize. My slide controls are going to show up. I hope that's not a problem. Our first and foremost task is converting prospective voters into committed supporters. The thing is that voting isn't a passive thing. Campaigns aren't passive experiences. What we're trying to do is we're trying to engage people and really empower them, help them to understand that they have a voice, that they deserve a voice, and hopefully convince them that I'm the candidate who can be that voice. And the way to look at things is to think of it kind of like a prospect funnel. We've got these 4 steps that we're going to go through. The first step is the broadest part. It's prospective voters, and that's pretty much everybody in the district. It's anyone who's registered. It's anyone who theoretically could be registered. And as the season goes on, we're going to try to cultivate those voters. We're going to try to make sure that they understand that they should be engaged, that they have a voice, that their vote counts, and that it's actually pretty easy to vote. As we get going, we want to try to be able to, kind of continue that dialogue, and we're going to lead up to not only asking for their vote and their support, but being good stewards of their vote and letting them know that it's not just a throwaway thing. Here we go. It's about building relationships. So we start with identifying likely voters in each precinct, and from there we begin communicating with them. This can take a lot of different forms. We're going to get into those here in a minute. As we build those relationships, we are going to ask for support. But once we have confirmed support, we don't want to just take them for granted. We don't want to throw them aside. Instead, we want to make sure that those relationships stay strong and continue so that we can better serve our friends and neighbors. It's important that we contact people multiple times. If we make just 2 contacts, we're going to increase the likelihood that somebody is going to vote for me by 2%. So it moves the needle a little bit. But if we make continuous contact throughout the cycle, if we make somewhere in the neighborhood of 9 contacts, that can raise it to 7 to 8%. Now, that may not sound like we're moving the needle a whole lot, but let me tell you, it is. It's a major, major difference. There are 4 main ways that we're going to try to contact people. In person is going to be the most effective. We're going to get into that first. But there's also digital canvassing, there's direct mail, and there's phone banking. Combined, it's very easy for those 9 contacts to build up. So 9 may sound like a lot at first, but The reality is that if we keep this up, really starting in about 2 weeks, even starting now, by the time November rolls around, we will have made more than 9 contacts. Now, let's start with in-person canvassing. This is traditional door knocking. This is getting out there, and it's easy. What you do is first you're going to pick up a turf. We divide neighborhoods out into turfs. The way we do this is we use a program called Minivan. We'll talk about Minivan in a moment, although there are always our good old paper lists. You're going to go out and knock and talk. This is really the most fun part of the campaign. This is getting out and talking to people, letting them know they matter, and listening to them, making sure that their needs are heard. You'll notice that I've got a bullet point that says we leave literature, but we can't do mailboxes. It's a federal violation to leave any kind of election literature, any kind of non-mail in mailboxes, so we have to be really careful about that. Now, that third column that says record results, let's go back over there real quick. There are 2 ways to record results. I mentioned Minivan, and I've got a brief video that's going to come up here in a couple seconds that's going to talk about what Minivan is and how to use it. It's basically an app for canvassing. It's great. If you can use a smartphone, if you can use a touch screen or a tablet, you can use Minivan. It syncs with our server, and it helps us build lists in real time of people's responses. It's not just asking them, will you vote for Mike Ross? It's what issues matter to you. It's how do you feel that you're being served? It's any questions we want to ask. Alternately, we can always do things the old-fashioned pen and paper way, and that's fine. When we do any kind of group walks. So for example, on weekends, we like to organize walk and knock parties where we'll have shifts. You can take as many or few as you like, and we'll try to assign walk captains so that we've got people all over the district who can kind of serve as our go-tos to help out with keeping things running smoothly, making sure people have turfs, making sure we're not overlapping. And if you're using pen and paper, you just turn your lists into the walk captain, and we'll have data entry volunteers get those updated into our system. Now, here we go. Here's a quick video about door knocking. Okay, I don't know that our audio is working here, so I'm going to pause old Jimmy here real quick, and we're just going to go ahead and continue talking. I will embed the link to this video in the comments for this training video, and that way when you go to check this out, you can watch that video on your own time. It's just a really nice little dramatization of how easy it is to door knock. The thing is, when you door knock, it's all about authenticity. It's all about you being you. We've got scripts, and it's fine to have kind of a statement you like to give, but the reality is that it's all about making a human connection. If there's a particular reason that you support this campaign, let them know. That means more to potential voters than anything. The other thing is it's quick. You'll notice that, let's get back over here. You'll notice that I've noted that you want doorstop visits to be about 2 minutes max. And the reality is that you've got houses to hit, you've got people to talk to, and even if you've got a really great conversation going, daylight is valuable. Every second counts. And on top of that, people have lives. Their time matters too. So we want to make sure that we value your time and theirs. So I'm going to have to embed our Minivan video as well. Let me get a screen grab up of that. For our next session, I'll try to figure out why the audio wasn't playing properly. So Minivan is an app that It's available on Apple and on Android. It's a really, really user-friendly app. You do not have to have an Action ID, although if you set up an Action ID, it makes it easy to do things like remember your settings. I'm going to skim this video a little bit so I can show you a couple of screens. We started using Minivan during the 2018 race, and it made things so fast, so convenient. We had volunteers who were available to walk and knock on days where, they were going on their own time. Maybe you want to walk your own neighborhood, and you can do that at times that's convenient to you. All you have to do is get a turf cut by the campaign, which we love doing that. It's actually a lot of fun. And then we'll send you the list number. Let's go back over to that screen. You just punch in the list number, and it's going to automatically call up a list of people in a given turf. You'll also find list numbers on this is what one of our paper lists looks like, and you can see that there are lists and turfs on that. And it's going to call up, you've got a couple different views. You can get the addresses, you can get sorted by which houses are near each other, and it shows you, how many people are at each house. And this is an example of, if you go by a script in a Minivan, there are going to be questions and you log what their answers are. They're usually kind of like survey questions. And see, you just tap what the response is. And that's it. It's really, really simple. Let's see. If you can't contact them, you just mark that you couldn't, and that could be for a number of reasons. Whether it's an address that's not good anymore, you would mark that as vacant. If they just don't want to talk to you, you can mark it as refused. If you can't get to the house, and there are some houses we can't get to. For example, excuse me, if you've got a house where, gosh, there's let's say there's a dog that won't let you nearby. Mark it inaccessible. We do not ever open people's gates. You do not ever want to go on somebody's property if they've marked it as no trespassing. But you can mark it inaccessible, and we can try to reach out to that person some other way, whether it's through mail or phone call or digital. Don't put yourself in a bad situation. If there's a language barrier, mark that down. We actually have some volunteers who are multilingual, and we want to make sure that regardless of language ability, that people understand that they have a vote. If they've registered, then they can make their mark. If somebody has moved, let us know that, because then we can take them off of our list. So that's pretty much how Minivan works. It's a really, really nice, really user-friendly little app. And the thing that's great is with in-person canvassing, we're going to have canvassing happening pretty much whenever there's daylight. You can get out and canvass daily or on weekend crews. You don't have to walk up to the doors. You can be a driver. Drivers make things move so much faster, especially when we get into parts of the district where addresses are more spaced out. And it's fun. It's nice to have some company when you're out there. I know I really appreciate it when volunteers are willing to drive, because if it's just you out there knocking, it's a little less fun. I need people to do data entry as well. If you're somebody who is comfortable doing that, if you're handy with a spreadsheet, you can help us turn our results from the canvas into usable data that's going to help us more capably serve people and get the word out. And again, it's flexible. You set your availability. If you can only come by for an hour on a Tuesday afternoon, hey, guess what? We'll see you on that Tuesday afternoon. If you can come spend a day with us out on a Saturday, we have a lot of fun. You know, it's exciting, it's fun. You get to meet all kinds of people, and most people are pretty friendly. You know, there are a lot of people that even if they're not going to vote for me, just the fact that we get out there and talk to them means something to them. In 2018, I had a number of voters that I met with who told us, very directly that they'd never had a candidate on their doorstep, and that meant a lot to them. So remember that what we do matters, and regardless of if we get the vote, we need to empower people. So having talked about in person, let's talk about phone banking a little bit. Phone banking next to in-person canvassing is going to be our next most effective way of reaching people. The reality is that 35 calls is all it takes to add an extra vote. For every 35 people we contact by phone, we add on one more vote that we didn't have before. That is tremendous. That's a major net positive for our campaign. We talk about how every vote matters, and by running a coordinated calling campaign, if all it takes is 35 calls, and if each call is relatively short, again, some of our calling scripts are as short as 1 or 2 questions, we can really impact that turnout. So keep that in mind, that for every 35 calls you can make, which may just be one session, on a Thursday night, you can really make a difference. We're going to be phone banking throughout the year, and it's important to note that when we phone bank, it's not just going to be for persuasion. We're not just going to try to push people. There's what's called push polling, which push polling has a limited amount of effect. And again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to build relationships, and we're trying to learn about the people in our community and what their needs are, what their wants are, what their expectations are for a representative. So keep in mind that we're going to have these different campaigns that have different goals, and they're going to carry on from the beginning of the year all the way through to October, November. I've got a note here that says that this is virtual, and because it's virtual, and we'll talk about virtual here in just a second, it means it can be done literally anywhere. If you have phone service, you can phone bank. You could be sitting on a beach somewhere with your toes in the sand. If that's the case, I don't want to know about it because I'm jealous. But you could be sitting at home. You could be at a phone bank party, which we'll be having some of those. It doesn't matter where you are. If you have phone service, you can make some calls. So I'll post a link to this video as well. I apologize that the audio is not working. This is the first time that we've done our slides through a presentation, so it's kind of a new thing. Come back to that. So like I said, they're going to be year-round calling campaigns. Early on, we're going to be trying to do some name identification. I have a little bit of an advantage over where I was at the start of the campaign in 2018 because my name has been out there. People have seen signs, we've talked to people, we've turned out votes. So there's a little more name recognition than we had before, but we need to keep that going. And so we're going to do a little bit of name recognition, a little bit of just kind of taking the temperature of the district and seeing whether people have a positive impression of me, what kind of work we need to do to build that up. And then from there, we're going to conduct some issues surveying. This is not meant to move the needle in terms of getting somebody to vote yay or nay. This is meant to find out what issues matter to people and whether they feel like those issues are being addressed properly. How we can better communicate to people about their concerns. Going into the middle of the year, we're going to have some candidate polling. We are going to try to determine who our solid voters are, who our leans are, and who the voters are that we just can't reach. The fact is that if somebody is firmly in my opponent's camp, then we're probably not going to be able to sway them too awful much. So we probably need to move on to those people who lean one way or another. If we've got people who are firmly in our camp, people who are definitely voting for me, those are people that we're going to try to reach out to and see if we can cultivate some more volunteers out that. Again, the most valuable kind of campaigning I have is you. It's your testimonial, your authentic statements. I can say as many great things as I want about myself, but the fact is that it doesn't matter much. If it comes from you, it matters. Keep that in mind. Finally, in the closing weeks of the campaign, we are going to be doing some persuasive calling so that we can hopefully move the needle on people who are leans one way or the other. Again, by the time we get to persuasion, we're leaving the people that are hard one way or another alone. This is for people who might be on the fence. Now let's talk direct mail. Most of our direct mail pieces will not be things you have to worry about. We've got professional mail pieces that will go out. You've seen those kinds of mailers before. What we're going to talk about right now is the need for, hang on, my slide's doing its own thing here. The need for handwritten get out the vote cards. The video that I'm going to post that links to this is a woman talking about the difference that handwritten cards make in campaigns. And the fact is that if somebody receives a personal postcard, let's see if I can show you what we're talking about here. This is for a candidate in Pennsylvania. If somebody receives a personal postcard, that makes a huge difference because that indicates that an actual human being is supporting this candidate. If you don't feel comfortable making calls or knocking doors, this is a really, really, really low pressure way to get people connected, to get people engaged, and hopefully get people to see that this is a campaign that is focused on them. Personalized postcards are super easy. You can pick up a stack and do them, at your own pace. If you want to get some friends together and have a postcard party, that's great. The campaign will probably do a couple of those. If you just want to put on a TV show that you're binging and do postcards while you're catching up on The Mandalorian, go for it. Baby Yoda makes everything a little bit more fun. So this is one way that you can engage with people in a way that is so low pressure, so low stress, but still meaningful and still effective. So please keep that in mind. Now let's talk about digital canvassing. This is probably the lowest when we talk about pressure or stress or energy that we expend on the campaign. Digital is so low stress. It's so easy to do. The campaign is engaged on multiple platforms. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, and on every platform the username is Ross4OK. Each platform has its own function within the campaign, but it's easy to find, it's easy to engage with. All you have to do is find Ross for OK. If you're here on Facebook with me, then you know. So keep that in mind, that this is us everywhere. There are 3 super easy ways to boost content about the campaign. Now, the fact is that all of these social media platforms are platforms that create algorithms for determining how people are going to see content. If you've ever wondered why you see one thing or one person or one entity more often than others in your feed, it's because the algorithm is at work. So when we're talking about ways to get the message out, ways to get people engaged with the campaign, keep in mind that these 3 things are organic ways to boost content on any platform. First of all, comment, engage with the campaign. If there's something you really like, let me know. If you've got questions about something, let's talk about it, because by engaging, if you've got a question about something, you might be asking a question somebody else was wondering about too. So getting that answer out there helps other people. B, by engaging with the campaign through comments, you're creating dialogue and you're helping us let people know that this is a campaign that you can talk to, that you can engage with, that will communicate back with you. The next thing, this is probably the easiest thing you could possibly do, is clicking the like. You don't have to comment, you don't have to share. If you click that like, you're still feeding the algorithm and you're still giving a little bit of feedback, and you're still helping us get that little bump, get people to see it. I know Facebook gives us 4 different, I think it's 4 different little symbols, from the thumbs up to the smiley to the sad face to the heart to I don't remember what the 4th one is. No, that is 4. Okay, it's the coffee needs to kick in a little better, I guess. But it's super easy. It takes less than a second. Just click that like, and that helps us out tremendously. Finally, sharing. This is probably the most meaningful thing that you can do on social media, because when you share something that the campaign posts, you're effectively co-signing. You're saying that this is something important, something that you think that your friends and family need to know about. And when you share, you're able to comment on things as well. You're able to add a little endorsement if you want. If you want to give some context, then you can do that. But that's a good way to kind of lend that authenticity to the campaign. So I humbly ask for your shares. I understand if it gets kind of taxing to do that with every single thing, but if you remind yourself that, hey, these things do matter, you can really help us move the needle there. I think I've said move the needle a couple of times. I'll try to come up with other phrases. Like I said, sharing gives the campaign's post credibility with your friends and followers. It's not a paid post, although we'll probably do some of those. It's not an ad. It's organic word of mouth, and that's the best thing that we could possibly hope for. It's like when you're picking a restaurant for dinner. Do you go to the place that took out the ad in the paper or on a website, or do you go to the place that your friends recommend? That's what moves people. See, I stopped myself from saying move the needle. That's what moves people to action. So this is just a quote that I love, and I'm going to pause that because, again, we don't actually. You know what? I'm going to let that run because it's a kinetic type video. Joe Strummer was the lead singer of the band The Clash, and he was a firm believer in the value of humanity and the power of people to make change in their world. And that's something that motivates me throughout this campaign. It motivated me last time, it motivates me in my daily life, is the notion that people can do anything they want, that if we want to make change happen, that we're not going to get anything done by sitting and waiting for somebody to come along, that we've got to be the ones to step up and make changes that mean something for our communities. So when Joe Strummer says people can change anything they want to, and that means everything in the world, that's what drives me there. So having said that, remember you can reach out to the campaign anytime through email. It's mike@ross4ok.com. My cell phone is 405-620-1018. I realize I'm taking a leap of faith there by putting that out there, but I trust you guys aren't going to abuse that too much. I'd remind you that I'm a school teacher and I can't take phone calls during the day until about 3:30 or 4, but I will get back to you, and I can see text messages. So, don't be afraid to reach out if you have questions. If you want to get involved, I sure would appreciate it. I'm going to be putting some links up to the videos that we couldn't get to play so that you can see them, and some links for some easy ways for you to start getting involved in the campaign now. We're going to start canvassing in January, so start making plans. Check your calendar, see what days work for you, because your involvement is it means all the difference. There's only so much I can do myself, but us together, we're unbeatable. We can't lose. I believe in us. In the meantime, a couple of things you can do very, very easily. One is visit www.ross4ok.com. You'll see that we've got a landing page up with a countdown. The site's going to relaunch the first Monday in January with a fresh look and information and platform stuff and all kinds of goodies. But in the meantime, you can sign up for the newsletter we're going to have going out. It's the easiest way to get information about the campaign and ways to get involved straight to your mailbox. Beyond that, right now we have House District 68 t-shirts, what I've dubbed the Spirit of 68 shirts, available at bonfire.com/ you can go straight to the shirt by going to bonfire.com/ Ross for 68, and that's numeral 4. It's not it. Don't go to that address. Go to the store. It's bonfire.com/ store/Ross4OK, and that's the easiest way to get there. Or click the links on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I've been kind of zealous about putting that out there. I think the shirts look really, really cool, and they will start shipping the first week in January if you get your order in by this coming Tuesday, Christmas Eve. We'll do other orders in the future, but I wanted to make sure you guys knew that you could get them. They're a cool vintage-looking logo that says OK68 on it, because I want to really kind of drive home the fact that this is a district that transcends just one community, and that I'm running to represent everybody. And also, I want to make something that I thought people would like to wear. So again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to sit and join me today. Hey, it looks like we're clocking in at just a little over half an hour, so we made good time. I'll archive this video so that you can see it again later, or so that you can share it with people who might be interested in getting involved. Thank you again to all of you for believing in me, and I look forward to seeing you on the campaign trail. So with that said, have a great weekend, have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and I will see you soon.